a lot of trauma seems to be stored in the body. Um,
Yes.
I don't know if you've read that book, The Body Keeps the Score.
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet.
Great book, yeah. It's just, I mean, it's just this general idea that like this we have this idea of like talking, like so we have in Western medicine, in therapy is all about like you take a veteran, you take a Vietnam vet who saw all sorts of terrible things, and or Afghanistan, and he
Mm.
talks to this therapist and nothing seems to get better. And because actually some things aren't really in the talking part of the brain, some things are kind of stored in the body, like your body has been like your I think sometimes we see ourselves in Western concepts, and I'm not, bashing Western medicine. I kind of am. That's a lie. I am.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing. But
Yeah, no, that's good. Let's do this.
we see ourselves as like a brain in a vat. It's like, and our brain seems separate from our body in so many different ways. But it's like, no. I mean, mental health is physical health. They're the same thing. Your brain is in your body. Why would you think they're different? Like, and and so, and just like, and physical health is mental health as well. Like and so a lot of trauma survivors, for instance, in The Body Keeps a Score. I haven't verified this, but he's some sort of scientist guy. He says that a lot of people who are obese have been sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And then they build up this kind of protective layer around them. Maybe there was some sort of childlike intuition that um, if I'm not attractive, then I won't get assaulted, or whatever it is. And maybe every time they get scared, they eat or something like that, or every time those memories come up, they eat. Um, and maybe they're scared to go outside and exercise and try new things. And so, but and he found that, and separately, he also found that like veterans did really well from a yoga and breathing class. So all this therapy that they did, all this talking and talking and talking, didn't work as well as like doing some yoga and like feeling your body again. He said like oh yeah, he said a lot of times, once again, assault survivors didn't have a lot of connection with their pelvic area.
Mm.
So when you did yoga and you opened up the pelvic area, suddenly they were like feeling all of these feelings, because you could think of, there's this idea, and you can verify this independently, people at home, you can totally verify this
Yeah.
independently, that
Yeah.
the body has like a mental, our mind has like a mental map. And so
Yeah.
we store certain feelings, and that's why like if you're anxious, you might feel it in your diaphragm. It might feel like some tightness in your diaphragm or something like that. um, and so yeah, I think we neglect the body in a bunch of different ways. Are you do you
Yeah.
have practices like this?
I agree with everything you've just said there. Like, I think everything's interconnected. And I like with my background in registered nursing, yes, people come in for surgeries, they have births, they come in for mental health problems, whatever sector they're going to get support in and help in. But it's not just, okay, they've come in with a mental health diagnosis of whatever it is. They're not just on medications. It's because they've been through some type of trauma or assault, sexual abuse, whatever, or, domestic violence or something, or PTSD, and it can create from the medications weight gain, but also I feel from the emotions, because they start to believe I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy to be loved, and they'll put that protective mechanism up. If you look at Louise Hayes' book, she talks about the different emotions in the physical body. So when we have like lower back pain, we might feel unsupported in our life, for instance. That could be another one. If you look at spinal flow therapists, they look at the different energy points on our spine. So spinal flow, and it usually comes back to different feelings and emotions that we've held in our body since childhood or through a trauma. If you look at kinesiologists that do also reading ancient wisdom and alchemy, they look at not only the physical body, but they look at the emotional body and the energetic body. So some people might have, like you say, have like pain in their hips, and they're like, "Why am I getting this sciatica pain or hip pain?" And it might be because of a trauma that they went through in in their childhood or something like that. It doesn't necessarily mean it is, but for some people, it could be. Um, and there's many other therapies that can uncover this as well. But I think there's truth in it. I know when I started doing yin yoga and I was opening up my hips, I was crying a lot. I was able to release all this emotion. I even ended up menstruating again. It's like my whole body was opening. So
Wow.
it's cool. Like, yes, doing all the therapy and like I can advocate for all of these healers because for pretty much each one I've mentioned, I've been to all of these at one point in my life, right? But I'm like, oh, I'll just do some yin yoga. And it really helped to open up my hips and all of that energy and emotion that I think that I'd had trapped in there since my childhood. And I think I held on to some family trauma and generational trauma in there too, if I'm quite honest, which I'm happy to share. But yeah, it opened up that sacral area. The hips is usually, in our pelvis is where we store a lot of emotion and energy that needs to be released. So I highly recommend yoga with a really, really good yoga teacher as well, if
Mm.
you're into that, or I do mine online. Um, and I think it's important to, and with what you said about the weight gain, I think it's all to do with protection. Definitely, not all, but some. Like people say, oh, it's hormones and I'm on this medication. And so, yes, it could be definitely. Could be because of diet and not exercising. That's okay. That's cool. But not cool. But let's look at the full picture. Like what, like how did this happen? What was the root cause of this? Like, yes, this is what we can physically see, but what emotions are stored within you?
Mm.
And why are they there? Where did that come from? That's what I would be curious around. Um, and I know for certain family members of mine that went through trauma, they actually, when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, they are a bigger person. And I
Mm.
think it is actually, there's some truth in that, protecting themselves from being attractive and protecting themselves from being hurt again
Mm.
from, I guess, people they thought they could trust, you know what I mean? Or institutions that they thought they could trust. And even if it's subconsciously, they might not know what happens, or subconsciously they're putting on the weight to protect themselves. But I think it's definitely an area to look at and talk more about.